In the intricate dynamics of male social archetypes, the Sigma male stands apart, a lone wolf who operates outside traditional hierarchies, valuing independence and self-reliance above all. His kindness is often subtle, an unspoken courtesy extended without expectation. But when a Sigma male stops being nice, the shift is rarely dramatic. Instead, it unfolds in quiet detachment, a gradual withdrawal of warmth that goes unnoticed until it's complete. There are no fiery confrontations or grand declarations. He simply retreats, his silence speaking volumes. The polite nods fade, the casual conversations dwindle, and the effortless support he once provided vanishes without explanation. Those who took his kindness for granted may only realize its absence when they reach out and find nothing but cold indifference in return. For the Sigma male, this transformation is self-preservation. He tolerates disrespect only so long before cutting ties, not out of malice, but from an unshakable understanding of his own worth. His departure is final, leaving behind those who failed to recognize the value of his presence until it was gone. 1. The quiet shift in behavior. When a Sigma male reaches his emotional limit, he doesn't resort to loud arguments, dramatic exits, or emotional breakdowns. Instead, he undergoes a silent, internal shift, an almost imperceptible transformation that reveals itself through action, not words. He doesn't lash out or announce his boundaries. He simply enforces them with calm finality. His detachment is surgical, clean, and irreversible. This quiet exit isn't born from weakness or avoidance. Its strength refined by experience. For a long time, his kindness may have been misunderstood, mistaken for passivity or a willingness to tolerate anything. But that was never the case. His kindness was intentional, measured, and rooted in a hopeful belief in others' potential. Yet, once he recognizes that his grace is being exploited, the Sigma male draws a hard line, and once crossed, there's no return. He stops justifying, stops explaining. He doesn't seek confrontation or validation. Instead, he quietly withdraws, emotionally and often physically, leaving behind only a chilling sense of absence. His silence isn't empty. It speaks volumes, signaling a permanent change in how he relates to the people who fail to value him. 2. Surgical precision with energy. The next transformation lies in how the Sigma male chooses to spend his energy. Once he gave freely, his thoughts, his support, his time. He did so not for applause or recognition, but from a place of genuine care and belief in meaningful connections. But that generosity had a cost. Over time, he began to notice a pattern. People who constantly took rarely gave back and drained his spirit without remorse. When the Sigma male stops being nice, he doesn't become bitter. He becomes calculated. Every ounce of energy is now allocated with intent. Conversations that once felt obligatory are now optional. Emotional labor he once volunteered for is now off the table. Shallow relationships and meaningless interactions are cut off without a second thought. He no longer feels a need to maintain peace at his own expense. Instead, he lets silence do the heavy lifting. He evaluates everything and everyone through a single filter. Is this worth my energy? If the answer is no, he doesn't linger. He exits, not angrily but with deliberate peace. What once was a freely open door is now a guarded threshold. His presence becomes exclusive, granted only to those who are shown they value and reciprocate it. 3. The end of sugarcoating. Another distinct change is in the way the Sigma male communicates once he's done playing nice. The days of softening his words or sparing others' feelings come to an end. He no longer feels responsible for shielding people from the truth. Instead, he embraces radical honesty, not out of cruelty, but clarity. For a long time, he stayed quiet, not because he was afraid, but because he respected others' emotional fragility. He watched people ignore reality, repeat their mistakes, and hide from their own dysfunctions. Out of compassion, he withheld his insight, understanding that many weren't ready to hear what they needed most. But now, he no longer protects illusions. He speaks with surgical precision, cutting through delusion and denial. His words become mirrors, unflinching and unapologetic. If someone is being manipulative, he'll say it. If something doesn't make sense, he calls it out. His goal isn't to wound, but to wake people up, Those who once found comfort in his silence may now find discomfort in his clarity. He becomes a force of truth, calm, grounded, and unwilling to enable self-deception in others. Where he once stepped gently around hard truths, he now lays them bare, letting the chips fall where they may. 4. Intelligence is armor. There was a time when the Sigma male treated his intelligence like a gift to be shared, something sacred yet generously offered. His sharp mind, keen observations, and deep understanding weren't just tools for personal gain. They were bridges to others. He listened with intention, spoke with clarity, and gently guided those around him toward deeper truths. He didn't speak to impress, but to illuminate. However, over the years, a harsh realization set in. Most people don't actually want to see the truth. They don't crave depth. They crave comfort, affirmation, and simplicity. His insights, instead of being valued, were often dismissed, misunderstood, or worse, used against him in moments of conflict. His wisdom became a threat to fragile egos, and his clarity became uncomfortable for those still living in denial. So he began to retreat. Slowly, he stopped explaining, stopped sharing, stopped trying to connect through intellect. His mind, once a wide-open field, now becomes a fortress, silent, impenetrable, and heavily guarded. He lets others misjudge him, lets them form their assumptions and run with them, because correcting them no longer matters. His intelligence is no longer a bridge. It is armor, cold, quiet, and reserved only for those rare few who have earned a seat at his inner table. 5. Forgiveness is a rare currency. Forgiveness used to come naturally to the Sigma male. He forgave not because the pain vanished, but because he believed that people were capable of learning, growing, evolving. He extended chances, second, third, sometimes more, believing that consistency and grace might eventually spark transformation in others. But as patterns repeated and apologies began to ring hollow, a realization settled in like winter frost. His forgiveness had become a loophole. People took his mercy for granted. They mistook his patience for permission, repeating their betrayals, never changing their behavior, because they believed he would always forgive. That chapter is now closed. Forgiveness has become something sacred and rare, a currency not handed out easily. It must be earned through change, not begged for through guilt. The Sigma male no longer feels obligated to repair every broken bridge. He does not seek closure for others' comfort, only his own peace. And if he withholds forgiveness, it's not out of cruelty, but self-respect. Let them call him cold if they must. He's no longer in the business of sacrificing his mental clarity for the illusions of peace. He knows now that true forgiveness requires accountability, and without it, there is no reconciliation, only self-betrayal. 6. The unreachable presence. When the Sigma male finally disengages, it doesn't come with fireworks or lengthy goodbyes. There's no dramatic confrontation, no final speech. Instead, he fades. Quietly, completely. One moment, he's fully present, alert, engaged, aware of every subtle shift in the atmosphere. The next, he's gone. Not in body, perhaps, but in spirit, in energy, in emotion. He withdraws without warning, without closure, leaving behind a void so silent it echoes. This disappearance is not a tactic. It's a defense mechanism, born of deep emotional fatigue. His absence is not designed to punish, but to protect. When he reaches this state, there's no chasing him back. You could sit beside him, speak to him, even cry, but you'll feel the distance in every breath. The man who once remembered your small preferences, who used to read you like an open book, now doesn't even look up. It's not indifference, it's self-preservation. His silence is a boundary. And once he becomes unreachable, it's final. There are no negotiations, no last chances, no manipulations that can draw him back. His withdrawal is his truth, a message that says everything words never could. 7. Immunity to emotional manipulation. There was a time when the Sigma male was deeply empathetic, perhaps too empathetic. He felt the pain in others' voices, saw the desperation in their eyes, and assumed the best even in the worst moments. Guilt trips once worked on him. So did the trembling voice, the sudden silence, the carefully timed outburst of emotion. He assumed every tear meant sorrow, every angry outburst meant passion. but experience has rewired his perception. He's learned that not all tears are genuine, not all apologies are sincere, and not all pain is pure. Some people use emotions not to heal, but to manipulate. Now, he sees through it all, through the crocodile tears, the performative silence, the dramatic accusations. He doesn't get pulled into the emotional theater anymore. He doesn't flinch, doesn't fumble for words, doesn't defend himself against baseless guilt. He simply goes still, a quiet, unmovable calm that signals the end of emotional control. This stillness is more unsettling than anger because it means he no longer feels a need to engage. His decisions are grounded in reality, not in guilt. And if your words don't match your actions, they fall on deaf ears. He listens only to truth now, without apology, without compromise. 8. The power of indifference. Anger implies that you still care, that something still matters enough to burn for it, to shout, to fight. But indifference, true indifference, is colder than anger could ever be. It's the final phase of detachment, and it's where the Sigma male becomes utterly untouchable. By the time he reaches indifference, it means he's emptied every last drop of emotional investment. There are no more arguments left to be had, no more hopes clinging to change, no more desire to be understood. He simply doesn't care anymore, and that is what makes him truly dangerous. People who once thrived on provoking him, drawing him into battles of ego or emotion, now find nothing to latch onto. Their usual tactics, jealousy, drama, guilt, bounce off him like dull arrows hitting stone. He doesn't raise his voice or seek closure. He doesn't write long messages or demand justice. He just disappears, emotionally first, physically soon after. There's no grand exit, just a silent one that leaves no trace, no open door, no room for return. When the Sigma male becomes indifferent, the story is over, not with fury, but with finality. 9. Choosing himself over saving others. For much of his life, the Sigma male believed his strength existed to serve others. He was the fixer, the one who stayed calm during chaos, who listened without judgment, who held people together even as they unraveled. He took pride in being the rock for those who had none. But over time, that noble instinct became a burden. He began to see a painful truth. Some people don't want to be saved. They're attached to their dysfunction, addicted to chaos, unwilling to grow even when given every chance. And trying to save them only drags the savior down. One day, he made a quiet, powerful decision to stop sacrificing himself for those who won't swim. He no longer throws himself into the ocean for people who've chosen to sink. He now chooses himself not out of selfishness, but out of wisdom. His energy is redirected inward, into building a life rooted in peace, purpose, and legacy. The man who once tried to save everyone now pours that strength into himself. He builds foundations that won't crumble, boundaries that won't bend, and a vision for his life that doesn't rely on being someone else's lifeboat. In choosing himself, he finally becomes unshakable. 10. Logic over compassion. There was a time when the Sigma male filtered every decision through the lens of compassion. He considered the emotional ripple effect of his actions, constantly aware of how others might feel. He bent himself to meet unspoken expectations, made sacrifices to keep others from discomfort, and tolerated more than he should have, all in the name of empathy. But with time came wisdom, and with wisdom came boundaries. Now logic takes the lead. He no longer allows himself to be swayed by guilt, manipulated by obligation, or trapped in cycles of emotional appeasement. His kindness hasn't disappeared. It's simply been refined. It's no longer a tool for others to exploit. It's measured, deliberate, and reserved for those who honor it. Today, the Sigma male navigates life through clarity, not sentiment. If someone's presence disrupts his inner peace more than it contributes to it, he doesn't hesitate. He doesn't engage in drawn-out explanations, doesn't provide warnings or second chances. He walks away, quietly and resolutely, trusting his observations over apologies and patterns over promises. He no longer clings to potential. He honors reality. People may misinterpret his distance as coldness, his decisions as harsh, but he would rather be misunderstood than live in constant turmoil for the sake of another's comfort. Peace is his priority now, and he guards it with unwavering logic. 11. turning darkness into power. When the Sigma male stops being nice, it's not a descent into bitterness. It's a metamorphosis. He doesn't drown in his pain or allow disappointment to corrode his spirit. He doesn't lash out or fall apart. Instead, he does what few have the strength to do. He takes the darkness, the betrayal, the anger, the frustration, and alchemizes it into fuel. Every scar becomes a source of strength. Every letdown a lesson, every silence a sharpened edge. He no longer sees adversity as something to escape, but as something to harness. It refines him. It sharpens his discipline, hones his focus, and ignites a relentless inner fire. His silence is no longer a sign of retreat. It's a tactical pause, a recalibration. He uses solitude not to escape the world, but to master himself. The stillness becomes a sanctuary, the quiet where he crafts the next version of himself. Stronger, smarter, and more unyielding than before. The man who once dimmed his light to keep others comfortable now embraces his full brilliance without apology. He no longer seeks approval, validation, or permission. He walks a solitary path, but it is one of purpose and precision. And when he finally steps into the full force of who he's become, without saying a word, the world notices. Not because he demands attention, but because his presence carries a power that can't be ignored. His transformation is complete. Not loud, not showy, but undeniable. A quiet storm that reshapes everything it touches. Final words. The evolution of the Sigma male. This isn't the story of man falling apart. It's the story of a man finally falling into place. The Sigma male's journey is not one of collapse, but of clarity. What may appear from the outside as a hardening of spirit or withdrawal from others is, in truth, a radical act of self-preservation and evolution. He doesn't become cruel. He becomes unmistakably clear. The kindness he once extended so freely wasn't born from naivety or fragility. It was a conscious, noble choice. And when that choice is taken for granted or twisted into a weakness, he doesn't lash out or beg to be seen. He doesn't crumble under the weight of misunderstanding. Instead, he rises, rebuilt from the inside out, stronger, smarter, sharper. If you walk this path, if you are a Sigma male, know this. Your silence is not emptiness, it's power. Your distance is not rejection, it's alignment. You're not heartless for removing yourself from chaos. You're not broken for walking away from those who never deserve your presence to begin with. In truth, you are finally honoring the man you've always been. One who sees through illusion, values peace over noise, and refuses to be defined by others' expectations. You are not cold, you are calibrated. Every step away from what no longer serves you is a step toward the life you were meant to build. So keep rising, keep building. Let your solitude sharpen your purpose, and your silence amplify your strength. You were never made to blend in with the noise of the world. You were born to stand apart, not in arrogance, but in quiet, commanding truth. You stand alone not because you are unloved, but because your presence is rare. And rare things are never common. They are revered, respected, and unforgettable. Do these ideas resonate with you? If you found yourself nodding along or reflecting deeply on the traits and experiences we explored in this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts. The Sigma male mindset isn't often talked about openly. In your perspective, whether you identify with it personally or have encountered in others, adds valuable depth to the conversation. Drop a comment below and let me know which part hit home the most for you. Have you seen these traits in yourself or someone you know? Your insights help build a community where authenticity and growth are prioritized over popularity and performance. If you're drawn to this kind of introspective, no-nonsense content around Sigma males, psychological strength, emotional intelligence, and high-value living, there's more waiting for you. Explore the other videos on this channel for deeper dives, actionable insights, and raw truths that cut through the noise. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay sharp, stay grounded, and stay unapologetically real. Until next time.